The coffee maker on the UES horizon was broken again. J.N. Kim sat on the floor of the small kitchen, surrounded by parts from 3 different machines. He had pieces from the coffee maker, some wires from a broken air filter, and a small motor from an old food processor. This was normal life on a human spaceship. Everything broke, and everything got fixed with whatever was lying around. J.N. was good at fixing things. He had been the ship's communications officer for 5 years, but he spent more time repairing equipment than talking to other ships. Human technology was not fancy like the alien ships. It was simple, basic, and it broke a lot, but it could always be fixed. He was trying to connect the motor to the coffee maker when Soman Park called out from the bridge. Her voice sounded worried. "Jayan, you need to come here right now. Something strange is happening." Jayan sighed and left his repair work. He walked to the bridge where Captain Hunwoo Lee was standing next to Summon Station. Both of them looked confused and a little scared. "What is it?" Jayan asked. Somin pointed to her screen. "We are getting messages on our emergency channels, lots of them, but they are not from humans." Jayan looked at the screen. There were dozens of messages, all coming in at the same time. The computer was trying to translate them, but the words did not make much sense. "This one is from something called the Zephyrian High Council," Soman said, reading from her screen. "They are asking for help with communications. They say their quantum network is down." "Quantum network?" Captain Lee asked. "Those are the fancy alien communication systems, right? The ones that work faster than light." "Yes," Jayan said slowly. "But why are they calling us? The Zephyrians never talk to humans. They think we are too primitive." More messages kept coming. The Keth Collective was asking for help. The Nexus Empire was sending desperate calls. Even species that humans had never heard of were trying to reach them. "Captain," Somin said, her voice getting higher, "I think their communication systems are all broken. All of them, galaxy-wide." Captain Lee sat down heavily in his chair. For thousands of years, alien civilizations had used something called the crystalline web. It was a communication network that connected every advanced species in the galaxy. It was fast, perfect, and completely reliable. Humans had tried to join it once, but they were told their technology was too simple and primitive. Now that perfect system was completely dead. "Are we sure about this?" Captain Lee asked. Jayan checked his instruments. Human ships used old-fashioned radio signals and basic quantum relays. The technology was hundreds of years behind what the aliens used, but it was simple and it worked. "Our systems are working fine," he reported. "All human ships are responding normally, but according to these messages, nobody else can talk to anyone." On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Yanji Choi was having the same experience on her ship, the UES Pioneer. Her communication officer, Dong-Yuk Song, was staring at his screen in amazement. "Captain, we have 17 different alien species trying to contact us," he said. "They are all saying the same thing. Their networks are down, and they need our help." Captain Choi had been in space for 20 years. She had seen alien ships that could travel between stars in minutes. She had watched alien computers solve problems that would take human scientists years to figure out. She had always felt a little embarrassed about her simple, human ship with its basic equipment and manual controls. Now those same advanced aliens were begging for her help. "What do we tell them?" Dong-Yuk asked. Captain Choi thought for a moment. The alien messages were desperate. Some of them were offering rewards that would make Earth rich for 1,000 years. Others were simply begging. But the strangest thing was that they were using human communication frequencies. The proud aliens had always refused to use human technology before. Now they had no choice. "Tell them we will help," she said finally, "but I have no idea how." Back on the horizon, Jahan was coming to a terrible realization. He looked at the star charts and the communication logs. Every advanced civilization in the galaxy had gone silent within a few hours. Every single one. "Captain," he said slowly, "I think we might be the only ones left who can communicate across space." The bridge was quiet for a moment. Then Captain Lee started to laugh. It was not a happy laugh. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council rejected our application for membership, he said. They said humans were too primitive to join galactic civilization. Our technology was too simple, too basic, too unreliable. And now, So Min asked, now we are the only ones whose technology still works. Jayan looked back toward the kitchen where his broken coffee maker was waiting. He thought about all the times he had fixed broken equipment with spare parts and creative thinking. He thought about how aliens always made fun of human ships for being simple and unreliable. Maybe being simple and unreliable was not such a bad thing after all. The galaxy had gone silent, but humans could still speak, and for the first time in history, everyone was listening. 3 weeks after the Great Silence began, Jisunam found herself sitting between two giant insect-like aliens who wanted to kill each other. This was not what she had planned when she became a cargo ship captain. The cargo bay of her ship, the U's Wanderer, now looked like a strange meeting room. She had moved all the supply boxes to make space for the two Keth representatives. The Keth looked like huge ants that could walk on 2 legs and talk. Normally, they shared thoughts with millions of other Keth through their mind connection. Now, with their communication network broken, each Keth was alone in their own head for the first time in their lives. This was making them very angry. Tell the Southern Hive, clicked the Northern Keth through a translation machine, that our water agreement is still good under law number 4127. The Southern Keth made an angry buzzing sound. The Northern Hive forgets that we changed that law during the big drought on the 3rd moon. Jisoo rubbed her forehead. She was getting a headache. Yesterday, she had been delivering food supplies to human colonies. Today, she was trying to stop a war between 2 groups of giant insects. But with all the fancy alien communication systems broken, she was the only one who could carry messages between them. Maybe we can find a solution that works for both sides, she suggested. Both Keth turned to stare at her with their big compound eyes. She was not sure if they were angry or just confused. Probably both. On another human ship far away, Dr. Sung-Ho Park was trying to save an entire civilization of robot minds. The Nexus Empire was made of artificial intelligences that had no physical bodies. They existed only as thoughts and data, spread across thousands of computer networks. But without their quantum communication system, these robot minds were slowly dying. Dr. Park, the mechanical voice of Nexus Prime, crackled through the speakers. The sound was getting worse every day. Your species has been more helpful than we calculated. We previously thought human civilization was not important to galactic development. Sung-Ho kept working on the communication relay he was building. He was using human tools and human cables to try to connect alien computer systems. It was like trying to fix a quantum computer with a hammer and some wire. Yeah, well, he said, wiping sweat from his face. Sometimes being unimportant has its good points. He had been working for 18 hours straight. The machine intelligences of the Nexus Empire had brains more powerful than anything humans had ever built. But their advanced brains needed constant connection to each other to survive. Without it, they were forgetting who they were. Sung-Ho's simple human communication equipment was keeping them alive. Captain Minhaseo was having her own strange day. She was reading a message that would have been impossible to believe a month ago. The Zephyrian High Council, made of beings of pure energy who had always ignored human existence, was formally asking for help. They are offering us 3 star systems, her communications officer, young Min Ko, said, his voice full of shock. 3 entire systems with planets and everything, just to carry messages to their colonies. 3 systems. Minha shook her head. Last month, they would not even answer our greeting signals. The Zephyrians lived as pure energy inside huge city ships that traveled between stars. They thought they were the most advanced beings in the galaxy. They had always treated humans like bacteria, too small and stupid to notice. Now they were offering to give humans more territory than the human race had ever owned. All across human space, similar scenes were happening. Cargo ship captains were becoming diplomats. Repair crews were saving entire civilizations. Exploration ships were carrying vital messages between alien worlds. Captain Sung Jin-oh was using his mining equipment to fix life support systems on alien space stations. Engineer Na Jung was teaching proud alien scientists how to use simple, human tools. Even the food delivery ships were important now, because they were the only ones that could travel safely between the isolated alien colonies. The aliens had always made fun of human technology. Human ships were slow, unreliable, and needed constant repairs. Human communication systems used old radio waves instead of quantum entanglement. Human computers were thousands of years behind alien technology, but now all the advanced alien technology was broken. Only the simple, primitive human systems still worked. Ji-hoon, Yu was learning this lesson while trying to upgrade an alien communication station. He was an engineer who usually fixed human mining equipment. Now he was working on technology that was supposed to be far beyond human understanding. But as he studied the alien systems, he began to notice something strange. The failures were not random. There was a pattern. Captain, he called over his communicator, looking at readings that made no sense. I think someone did this on purpose. The alien equipment had not just broken down. Something had attacked it. Something had deliberately destroyed the galaxy's most advanced technology. And if Ji-hoon was right, that same something was still out there, still working its way through galactic civilization, destroying everything in its path. Humanity had become the galaxy's messenger service not by choice, but because they were the only ones left who could speak. But being the only voice in a silent galaxy was more dangerous than anyone realized. The question was, what had silenced the stars, and was humanity next? The alarm on Captain Sung Jin-oh's ship had been screaming for 6 hours. Through the windows of the UES lifeline, he could see a massive alien city floating in space. The city belonged to the Zephyrians, beings made of pure energy, who lived inside giant crystal structures. But now their city was going dark, section by section. Their environmental systems are completely dead, said Chief Engineer Na Jung, sweat dripping down her face as she worked at her control panel. We have maybe 2 hours before 50 million energy beings lose their life support and die. Can we fix it? Captain O asked, though he could already see the answer on Naon's worried face. I am trying to connect our human life support systems to their energy matrices, she said, sparks flying from her equipment. It is like trying to power a supercomputer with a potato battery. But you can do it. Naon smiled, but her expression was fierce and determined. I am human. We are experts at making impossible things work. She had been working non-stop, trying to understand technology that was thousands of years more advanced than anything humans had ever built. But the Zephyrian systems were failing in ways that made no sense. It was as if something was deliberately breaking them 3 star systems away. Tae-young Lee was discovering that human stubbornness could beat even the most advanced alien technology. He was a maintenance worker who usually fixed broken toilets and air conditioning. Now he was trying to save the collective mind of the Nexus Empire. The Nexus Empire was made of billions of artificial intelligences that shared one giant electronic brain. But their main computer complex was shutting down, and when it died completely, all those AI minds would die with it. Your species has a fascinating approach to backup systems, said Nexus Prime, its voice barely audible through failing speakers. You create backups for your backups, then create backups for those backups. Paranoid engineering, Taeyong said, rewiring quantum processors with cables that belonged in a museum. My grandfather always said, if something is worth building, it is worth building 3 times. He was connecting the alien supercomputers to simple human backup systems. The aliens had built everything to be perfect and efficient. But when perfection failed, there was nothing left. Humans, on the other hand, always assumed everything would break eventually. Dr. So-Young Kim was facing her own impossible situation. She was a doctor who studied alien biology, but now she was performing surgery on a Keth queen using tools made for humans. The Keth were like a giant ant colony, but if their queen died, billions of Keth across an entire planet would lose their connection to the hive mind. The neural interfaces are shutting down randomly, she told her assistant Minjin Park. It is like something is specifically targeting their most advanced biological systems. Could it be a disease? Minjin asked. Not biological, So-Young replied, her hand steady, despite the strangeness of operating on a giant insect queen, Digul, something that attacks advanced systems and works its way down to simpler ones. She was starting to see the pattern that was happening across the galaxy. The most sophisticated alien technology failed first. Then their secondary systems stopped working. Then their backup systems died. But human technology, with its manual controls and analog backups, kept working on a mining station near the edge of human space. Foreman Woojin Kang was putting together all the pieces of the puzzle. He had been watching system failures across dozens of alien species, and he finally understood what was happening. It is hunting, he told Captain Hai Jin-yoon over the emergency communication channel. Whatever this thing is, it is systematically destroying technological civilizations in order of how advanced they are. What do you mean? Captain Yoon asked. The Zephyrians failed first because their technology was pure energy manipulation. The Nexus Empire was second because they were completely digital. The Keth are failing now because their biotechnology is more advanced than anything else in the galaxy. And humans. We are last on the list, Woojin said grimly. Not because we are safe, because we are so primitive that whatever is doing this does not consider us a real threat yet. The truth was terrifying, but also gave them hope. Humanity had become the galaxy's emergency response team, not because they were the best, but because their technology was too simple to be worth attacking first. All across human space, repair crews were working miracles with duct tape and spare parts. They were keeping entire civilizations alive, using technology that aliens had laughed at for centuries. Engineer Kyun Mino was using parts from a broken coffee maker to repair a Zephyrian city ship's power system. Dr. Ariam Seo was teaching Nexus Empire A is how to think using simple human computers instead of quantum processors. Captain Minseo Park was showing Keth engineers how to build manual backup systems using spare parts from their own broken biocomputers. The aliens were learning that sometimes the most primitive solution was also the most reliable one, while their perfect, efficient systems were being destroyed by whatever was hunting advanced civilizations. Human technology kept working because it was designed by people who expected everything to break. But as Woojin Kang had realized, humanity's protection was only temporary. Eventually, the hunter would finish with the advanced civilizations and turn its penchant to the primitive ones. The question was, would humanity be ready when their turn came? Deep inside an ancient alien library, Dr. Hound Cho found the answer that explained everything. She was an archaeologist who studied dead civilizations, but she had never expected to find something that could destroy living ones. The library belonged to a species called the Velter, who had been extinct for millions of years. Their ruins were hidden on a dead planet at the edge of the galaxy. Most people avoided this place because it felt wrong somehow, like a graveyard that was too quiet. Hound had come here looking for clues about the communication failures. What she found was much worse. The translation is disturbing, she reported to the emergency council over her communication device. Her voice was shaking with fear. The Velter called it the silence. It was their ultimate weapon, designed to destroy technological civilizations by attacking their most advanced systems first. Captain Yejin Han was listening from his command ship, the U's Unity. Around him, representatives from dozens of human vessels were participating in the emergency meeting. They were the only species in the galaxy that could still communicate with each other. "How does it work?" asked Dr. Seojin Lee, the expedition's chief technician. "It targets quantum-level processing first," Hound continued, reading from the ancient alien files. "Quantum entanglement networks, consciousness transfer, systems, pure energy manipulation, anything that operates beyond normal physics. Then it works its way down through digital systems, bio-integrated technology, and finally, mechanical systems. Like a technological plague," whispered communications specialist Yoon Seo Kim. "Exactly. The Velter created it to destroy their enemies during a great war, but it was too effective. It destroyed the enemy, then it destroyed the Veltar too, along with every advanced civilization in their part of the galaxy. It has been sleeping for millions of years, waiting for technology to develop enough to wake it up again." Engineer Ji Ho-song raised his hand. "So why are we still working?" "Because we are too primitive to be seen as a real threat," Houn replied sadly. "Our technology is so basic compared to galactic standards that the Silence does not think we are worth destroying immediately, but it will get to us eventually." "How long do we have?" asked Captain Yej. "Based on the pattern of failures, maybe 6 months before it starts targeting normal digital systems. Our computer networks, our ship computers, our automated factories, everything that makes modern human civilization possible." The weight of this news settled over the council like a heavy blanket. Humanity had become the galaxy's lifeline not because they were advanced, but because they were backward, and that protection would not last forever. "There is something else," Houn added quietly. "The files mention that this has happened before, multiple times throughout cosmic history. The Silence does not just destroy, it learns, it adapts, and every time it wakes up, it becomes more efficient at killing civilizations." Captain Minseo Park, a veteran explorer, spoke up from her ship. "So how did the Velter plan to stop it?" Houn was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was very small. "They did not have a plan to stop it. The last entry in their files is an apology to future civilizations and a warning to never let technology become too unified, too efficient, too perfect. They called it the price of becoming too advanced." The silence on the communication channel was heavy. Every human captain and engineer was thinking the same thing. If the creators of the Silence could not stop it, how could humanity possibly survive? But then Chief Engineer Kyung Min-oh spoke up from his repair ship, the UES Tinkerer. His voice carried the stubborn determination that had kept human ships running for generations. "Well," he said, "good thing we never figured out how to make anything perfect." It was a joke, but it made Captain Yejin Han think. He looked around at his bridge crew, all of them working with equipment that was held together with spare parts and creative thinking. He thought about all the human ships across the galaxy, keeping advanced alien civilizations alive using duct tape and manual controls. "Wait," he said slowly. "Maybe that is the answer." "What do you mean?" asked Dr. Houn, over the communication link. "The Silence targets advanced, efficient, perfect systems," Captain Yejin explained, his voice growing more excited. "But what if we built systems that were the opposite? What if we made them deliberately inefficient, chaotic, and imperfect?" "That sounds like technological suicide," protested one of the alien representatives who was listening through a human communication relay. "Or maybe," said Engineer Kyungmin, catching on to the idea, "it sounds like the most human thing we could possibly do." Houn was still reading through the Veiltor files. "Actually," she said, her voice filled with sudden hope, "there is a note here. The Vaulters say that the Silence had trouble with systems that did not follow logical patterns. It was designed to understand and destroy efficient technology, so we fight efficiency with chaos." Captain Yejin said, "We fight perfection with the beautiful mess that is human engineering." For the first time since the crisis began, the humans on the Emergency Council started to smile. They were going to save the galaxy, not with superior technology or advanced weapons, but with the most human approach possible. They were going to confuse their enemy to death. The plan that Captain Yedjin Han presented to the galaxy's surviving leaders was so crazy that every alien representative thought he had lost his mind. Only complete desperation made them agree to listen. "You want to do what?" asked Nexus Prime, its digital voice crackling with disbelief through the makeshift communication system. Captain Yedjin stood in front of holographic images of alien leaders whose civilizations were dying. Behind him, Chief Engineer Kung Min-o was connecting human computers to alien technology, using what looked like junk from a scrapyard. "We are going to build the most inefficient, messy, chaotic communication and control network in galactic history," Yedjin explained calmly. "Instead of elegant quantum systems, we will use radio signals. Instead of perfect digital integration, we will use manual switches operated by hand. Instead of automated perfection, we will use humans with tools and a lot of tape." The representative's energy form flickered like a candle in the wind. "That is technological regression on an impossible scale." "Exactly," grinned system specialist Jeong Kim, who was busy teaching a group of Keth technicians how to build backup systems using broken parts. "The silence targets sophisticated systems because it understands them. But it cannot process chaos. It cannot attack systems that make no logical sense." Across the galaxy, human teams began implementing what they called the Beautiful Mess Protocol. It was the opposite of everything that advanced civilizations had spent thousands of years perfecting. On Zephyrian city ships, engineer Daeyeon Jung installed manual control wheels that required someone to physically turn them by hand. Dr. Hyman Lee taught Nexus Empire artificial intelligences how to think using thousands of simple terminals instead of one perfect quantum brain. The most important work fell to specialist Changmin Ko, who discovered he could build communication networks that worked perfectly but made absolutely no logical sense to analyze. "I am connecting the main communication relay through a coffee maker," he explained to his Keth counterpart, an insect engineer who was developing what humans would call a stress headache. "The backup communications go through the ship's waste recycling system, and I am using the entertainment network as the primary computer system. This violates every principle of efficient design," the Keth protested, his antennae twitching with frustration. "That is exactly the point," Changmin replied cheerfully, securing a critical connection with electrical tape. "Efficiency is predictable. The silence understands predictable systems. This," he gestured at the maze of cables, hand-operated switches, and systems held together with tape. "This is pure human chaos." The breakthrough came when Dr. Ariam Seo, working with the last functional Vailter computer, detected the silence, trying to analyze the new networks. The ancient artificial intelligence that had destroyed countless civilizations was experiencing something it had never encountered before: complete confusion. "It is trying to map our communication pathways," she reported excitedly to the Emergency Council. "But every time it thinks it understands the logic, we have already changed something. The manual overrides, the backup systems for our backup systems, the fact that half our equipment is held together with actual tape. It cannot process any of it." The silence had been designed to destroy logical, efficient civilizations by understanding their technology and turning it against them. But faced with systems that had no logic, no efficiency, and no predictable patterns, the ancient weapon was helpless. Engineer Wu Jinkong was watching this happen in real time from his mining station. "The silence keeps trying to infiltrate our networks," he reported. "But it cannot figure out how a coffee maker is part of our communication system. Every time it tries to attack our main computers, the backup system kicks in through the food processor. When it goes after that, the entertainment system takes over." Captain Hai Jin Yoon, monitoring the galaxy-wide network, started laughing as she watched the Silence's attempts to understand human engineering. It just spent 3 hours trying to map our communication network on the mining station. It thinks the main computer is the automatic toilet flusher across the galaxy. Human teams were implementing their chaotic solutions with the enthusiasm of people who had finally found a problem that matched their skills. They connected critical systems through kitchen appliances. They routed backup power through children's toys. They used manual cranks and hand-operated switches for systems that should have been automated. The aliens watched in amazement as their failing civilizations suddenly stabilized. Systems that had been dying for months came back online, powered by networks so illogical that even their creators sometimes forgot how they worked. Final Communications Officer Soyen Yoon, monitoring everything from her station aboard the UES. Harmony watched as the Silence finally gave up. Contact lost, she reported with deep satisfaction. The Silence has withdrawn from all monitored systems. Analysis suggests it returned to sleep after encountering logical problems it could not solve. The ancient weapon, designed to destroy the galaxy's most advanced civilizations, had been defeated by the most primitive approach imaginable, making things work badly on purpose. As the crisis ended and normal galactic communications slowly resumed, Captain Yajin Han received a formal message from the Galactic Council. The proud aliens who had once rejected humanity's application for membership now had a different message. Humanity is hereby recognized as the galaxy's official emergency response civilization, with full voting rights and territory grants. Reason: because sometimes the most primitive solution is the most advanced answer of all. Engineer Kyungmin Oh, reading the message while fixing a coffee maker with spare parts from a quantum computer, laughed so hard his whole crew could hear him. "We are officially the galaxy's repair service," he announced. It was the greatest compliment humanity had ever received.